Good afternoon and welcome to San Diego Mesa College Recital Hour. For those of you that are new, Recital Hour is a course at San Diego Mesa College in which we invite outside performers to perform for our class. We also open this up to the public since we do have such great performers, but since the pandemic, we've decided to put this online YouTube for all the world to see. Today, we have a very special guest, Kyle Flens. He is a percussionist and he studied with our very own Dr. N. Scott Robinson when he was in undergrad. So rather than give you too much of an explanation, I'm going to let him do his performance, and afterwards we have a very long interview in which we get into more of the details about him, his career, and his thoughts on diversity in music. They're very interesting. So thank you so much for joining us and enjoy the show.
Hello. Thank you so much for listening and for watching. I want to give a shout out to N. Scott Robinson and Ian Bassett at San Diego Mesa College for inviting me to be a part of this recital series. It was a lot of fun to put together. Um, some of the compositions that you heard today, if you noticed in the subtitles, it said selections from. I selected a couple of movements from those pieces. There are many more movements to those two pieces. The Anthony Green vibraphone solo and also the Robert Honstein vibraphone solo. I encourage you to go online and check out those pieces in their entirety. Thanks to Jonathan Hanau for playing on those two duo compositions. Jonathan Hanau is a wonderful pianist and also a wonderful composer as well. I encourage you to go online and check out some of his compositions. And speaking of composers too, I also encourage you, again, to check out more works by the composers on today's program. They're all wonderful artists, and they have, many more pieces for you to check out. The audio and video capturing was all done here in the Ensemble Dal Niente studio in Chicago. John Hanau was the one to capture the video and the audio, and I was the one to sort of edit and put this whole thing together. So again, thanks for listening, thanks for watching. I have a website, John Hanau has a website, all the composers have websites. Go check out stuff. And I'm also very easy to be in touch with. Just send me an email or a message, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thanks again, and hope to see you soon.
Well, thank you so much, Kyle, for that performance. Please introduce yourself. Who are you?
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for watching and for listening. My name is Kyle Flens. I'm a percussionist, originally born in Baltimore, and now I'm based in Chicago.
All right. And why don't you give us, since you started giving some background on yourself, why you chose this particular performance to share with us?
Yeah. So these, this collection of pieces, some of them are like solo compositions that are really close to me personally, and I really think they're great pieces of music to play. So I chose to program those, and then the duo pieces that you heard with John Hanau were those two pieces we played at the Thirsty Ears Festival in Chicago. Actually, it was like 2 months ago now. We played those pieces, so I thought it'd be fun to also perform them again and have like a virtual capture of those pieces, because it was outside and there was no documentation or whatever, and the people who were able to to watch that concert were like, wow, that was cool. But then everyone else who either didn't make it to the show, or people who don't live in Chicago, are like, wow, those pieces they sounded really awesome. I wish I was able to hear them. And now was a perfect opportunity to do that. So that was the reason for doing a couple solo pieces and a couple duo pieces with my friend John. So
yeah, that's awesome. And it's always good, like you said, when you've done something and you go, I don't have this in any sort of format that people can readily access. Mm-hmm. So good job on making a video for it.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. And so what is your educational background?
Yeah, so my undergrad degree was at Towson University. It's like a liberal arts college north of Baltimore. So, very close to my hometown. And when I was at Towson, I studied with two wonderful percussion teachers. One actually is faculty at San Diego Mesa College. It was N. Scott Robinson. Mm-hmm. Scott taught me, a whole range of musical styles. He taught me a class about, Hindustani and Carnatic classical music. Taught me all sorts of different frame drums and playing techniques. And, he's a wonderful person, a wonderful teacher. And then my other percussion teacher there was Patrick Roulette. He was also a wonderful percussion teacher that taught me, sort of back to square one. Here's how you hold your drumsticks. Here's how, here's my approach to musical time. Here's my approach to musical phrasing. It was like the combination of, of the teachings of, those two teachers was like that was a wonderful educational experience in my undergrad. And then for my master's degree, I studied at Northern Illinois University. And my teacher there was Greg Beyer. And, Greg Beyer knew both Pat Roulette and Scott Robinson, through the percussion world. It seems that like everyone knows each other, it's like the first degree of separation in the percussion community. So, I was really into the stuff that Scott was doing. I was really into contemporary music. So then both my undergrad teachers recommended, hey, you should go hang out with this, this Greg Beyer. He does both in a really wonderful way. So when I was at Northern Illinois University, I was a member of this musical group called Progetto Arco Musical. It's like a musical bow sextet that Greg Beyer runs. And, that was a wonderful experience. And, that led me to stay at NIU for one more year for my performer certificate, where I practiced a lot. I played a lot with that group. And then, the rest is history. Now I'm a professional freelancer in Chicago. My main gig is with this new music ensemble called Ensemble Down the Ente. It's a chamber group where we specialize in playing premieres in contemporary music. So,
oh, that's great. So,
yeah.
I mean, that kind of goes into my next question. I was going to ask, do you do this for a living? Is music your full-time career?
It is, I would say it is like, as musicians, we all wear many hats.
Yes.
We
Oh,
all
yeah.
teach, we perform. Yeah, it's one of those things. So I would say it's like 2/3 of my professional career is freelancing and, putting on performances and things like that. And then I would say the last third is a combination of teaching and then a combination of admin work. So, it's not just about like, going off and playing the gigs and, that sort of pays your mortgage and that sort of pays all of the, the monetary things that, one needs in
Health
life.
insurance, stuff like that. Yeah, it's
yeah.
no, that's the theme of what we've had going on. Even the people that, we all identify like myself as full-time musicians and stuff. I'm not just here I'm a performer and that's it. It's I perform, I have my own private studio, I teach at multiple colleges. It's like you do the many hats thing because that's the way the world works today.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, I kind of like the multiplicity of things because I'm not just stuck in sort of like one sort of, just one sort of professional, like one sense of professionalism. There's multiple things, and it sort of feels nice to go from one to the next. I really like teaching, I really like performing, but I don't think I'd have it any other way because the teaching sort of enlightens my performance and vice versa. And even the admin work too. It's sort of like, it's sort of like doing your homework behind the scenes, which makes you appreciate the opportunities that you get even more. So
yeah, absolutely. And you had mentioned Patrick and Dr. Robinson. We had them in Recital Hour, I want to say like 4 semesters ago before COVID and everything. But Patrick and Robinson did a duet together, which was kind of cool.
Nice. Oh,
yeah,
that's great.
Unfortunately, I don't think we have a video of that, or else I'd share it with you.
Right. It's like, but I don't know. Like nowadays, it's kind of fun to document everything because then we are able to share things, and it speaks volumes compared to like, I don't know, talking about it. You're like, oh, this thing was really cool, but then if you have a little clip of it, that's sort of it explains itself. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and it's a great way when you're wearing many hats to reference people to what you do. Oh, this is how I do this. This is how I do that. Here's a video on YouTube.
Right.
Yeah. So one of our focal points this year is diversity in music, and it's my belief that diversity of cultures, genders, politics, and outlook all affect artistry. How do you think diversity affects music, and how has your background played into your musical career? Do you have any challenges based off who you are, and if so, how did you address them?
Yeah, for sure. So when I think about diversity in music, I've worked quite a bit with the composer George Lewis. He's a wonderful scholar, writer, composer, musician, improviser. He right now he's the chair of the composition department at Columbia University, and also he won the MacArthur Foundation Genius Grants. Rightfully deserved. He doesn't claim that he's a genius, but I'm going to say it right here and right now that he is in fact a genius.
Certified, man.
Yeah, certified.
There you go.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like his knowledge just about, music and, music and life and, in art and politics, all those things is just, I can listen to him talk about these things for days. But, you know, hearing him talk about his music, and his sort of like musical approaches are, it was really enlightening for me because he talks a lot about, the creolization of music and, the whole idea of, the role of improvisation in music as well. But, just to go off the point of creolization in music is that, really it's like interesting art happens when different perspectives and different backgrounds start to combine, right? And then they the combination of two different approaches or two different styles, that creolization, does in fact makes interesting art and it makes interesting music. So, rather than being uncomfortable with the differences, you just sort of embrace them and just sort of welcome that. And then the art and the music making that comes from that is always been spectacular in my experience. So, I really think about that and, just go ahead and find, any articles by George Lewis. He writes a lot of articles for New Music USA. He does a lot of keynote addresses at like different sorts of festivals and things like that. And yeah, I would say, my perspective, as just, a white dude who goes off and plays music, it's like, I think it's very important for, for white male performers and, just to, acknowledge that and to, just sort of, and I mean, just to sort of be humble, with the unfortunate unfortunate social events that happens with different sorts of races and ethnic groups, and just to welcome more opportunities from non-white folks would it does create really great art, and it feels good. And to create, it's my responsibility as a white person to be more welcoming to different sorts of backgrounds and different sorts of gender identities and things like that. And it results in like a better welcoming environment. It results in a friendlier environment. It results in better music making. And I'm here to promote more of that. So yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Being a fellow white guy myself, just being aware of that and being aware that not everybody's experience is the same as your own. And like you say, not being afraid to promote something else because it's completely different of what you do, and not being scared of it either. Not being like, oh, geez, am I allowed to say the word black? It's like, no, you should, because you don't want to foster any sort of uncomfortability or fear
Yep.
for your students or what you do or something. So be aware and be able to go into these other cultures full on and respect them.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like, one thing that is like should always be in the back of our brains is the whole idea of appropriation as well. Like,
Hmm.
if we were to take influence from some other culture or some other musical background, it's very important to acknowledge that. It's like, in my work when I was a member of Arco Musical, the whole idea of like playing an Afro-Brazilian musical bow is like, I shouldn't take credit for that. There's a whole history of Afro-Brazilians. That's the reason why that instrument exists. And that's the reason why that like rich cultural history exists. So, the first thing I should do is be like, I did not come up with this. This is not my art form. This is the art form of something completely beautiful. And like, it is my responsibility to, to turn the direction towards that sort of thing. Right. Because, to not acknowledge that is appropriation and is pretty inappropriate. So yeah. And then one other story too about, just sort of embracing the differentnesses of a scenario is I actually was doing some work with the wonderful improviser, composer, and painter Elizabeth Baker.
Hmm.
She did some work with Ensemble Dal Niente and the new music ensemble at DePaul University in Chicago. And she was conducting an improvised work for chamber orchestra. And I went over and I started playing some xylophone because she was asking about, oh, there's a xylophone in the room. Can anyone play the xylophone? Oh, yes, I could play the xylophone.
What are
And
the
then
odds?
she had me, yeah, like one does, like a percussionist does. She had me demonstrate, my xylophone playing. And she just goes, no, 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 I don't want that. You're playing white people new music. Can you play not white people new music? And and it's just sort of struck me. I was like, I am really like, I am in the white people new music camp, and I should probably explore not that, more than not, and it was just a very friendly reminder that, like, hey, your comfort is over here in white people new music land. Maybe you should like hang out in not white people new music land for a while. You know, Even though I think I'm doing a good job, it's like, I can always do better. So that was like, it was still a wonderful experience too. Even the performance was spectacular.
Hmm.
She was working with those students for probably 3 weeks, and it's like I do dabble in like improvisational stuff, and Ensemble Down the Ante is going in that, like, in the direction of like, composition meets improvisation,
Hmm.
just to get more agency to, and validity to the improvisers. But it was like, it was a quick lesson. It was like, oh, I was in my comfort zone. I should go play something else.
Right.
Like, one, I didn't play xylophone. I was like, I should do more like homework before I go back to the xylophone and improvise in this setting. I went over to drum set, and I just sort of did my thing with that, and that created a wonderful performance.
Hmm.
I was mentioning too, she was working with all of these, like, classically trained, undergrad students at DePaul. Within 3 weeks, she had them performing completely differently. It was like this amazing transformation of like, I am going to try and improvise as like an oboe player. Let's see what I can do. It went from like playing scales to like playing all sorts of like amazing stuff. And, that's just the example of like, one, embracing diversity, two, embracing, creolization, and then three, going outside of your comfort zone and acknowledging and working with, people from other backgrounds. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I like what you said. I mean, clearly you have a educator's mindset when it comes to this because, while some people are like, well, their gut reaction would be as a performer, well, why do I have to explain everything that I do? I'm presenting the art? Isn't that explanation enough? But that's part of I mean, to me, it's always been part of the fun of sharing different kinds of music. Whether you're doing Western European classical music and you're talking about different regions in Europe, or you're
Mhm.
doing world music and just explaining different parts of the globe with different races and such, the more you kind of give an education with your performances, I think the more enriching the performance will be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what do you have next in the coming year? Live performing yet? Still doing everything online? What's up with you?
So, it's of course, it's kind of like, it's still crazy town right now in terms
Yes.
of like trying to go back to normal things. Though I do appreciate these sorts of like online opportunities. They're really
Hmm.
fun, and I get to meet folks, and it's very easy to sort of like branch out and and meet people from different places. But right now it's sort of like, it's sort of a hybrid thing. Tonight actually I'm playing a concert. Oh no, wait, that was yeah, sorry, I'm getting all of my shows mixed up here. But it's, this season is a little bit of it's a little bit of live performance, a little bit of video performances here and there. In January, I'm doing like a virtual residency at the University of Florida, and then let's see, there's some stuff. I mean, like, last week I did a concert at Washington University in St. Louis. That was a live in-person show. So like, that's great. Tonight, the thing I got that confused with tonight, which is my musical partner in crime, John Hanau. He's playing a live show at the venue called Space in Evanston.
Hmm.
And then the week after that, I'm doing a recording session. That's all, no audiences. We're just recording stuff. So it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And I'm looking forward to the day where it's more live, more in-person things are happening than not. And it is moving towards that, but very gradually. So
Yeah.
that's sort of what's I can't say within the next year. I just mentioned what was happening within like the next month or so. But things in the spring they're starting to materialize, but it's just a question of when and what. And everyone's just sort of waiting. You know what I mean? There's
Hmm.
like big places like the Big Ears Festival in Knoxville. I was supposed to play in that festival with Ensemble Down the Ante before the pandemic hit. And they're just sort of waiting things out, because it is like, there's a lot of moving parts, and the moment things get unsafe for like a majority of the listeners and things like that, everything has to be postponed. And that's like, I don't want to, I would rather have the folks at like, say like Big Ears Festival, like wait and be like, okay, what's going on, instead of plan it and then cancel everything. That's more work on their part. They do enough work enough as it is. So it's just sort of good to wait things out and, see what happens, so yeah.
I think that's kind of the theme for everything right now, music or whatever you want. It's like trying to figure out it's now the time so we don't have to cancel, but it is what it is. And if our students want to find you, where can they find you?
Yes. So I do have a website. It's just kyleflens.com. I have a contact window there. Feel free to just, send me messages, send me your thoughts about the show. Just send me general comments. If you want to share things that are like percussion related or new music related that, you thought was interesting and you want to talk about, I love talking to people, and I love, hearing from folks. So yeah, just like, please go to my website and there's the contact page. Just like, just we'll talk about whatever. I like talking about music, and yeah.
All right. So to the two percussionists in this class, you heard it here. Reach out to them.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Ask me about the whatever stick or symbol I had. It's like the first thing we always talk about is like gear, we'll like talk shop. So I don't know. Like, ask me about that symbol that, that I have, or I don't know, like what stick was that? Or, oh, those were tuned gongs, right? Oh, that's cool. I love talking about that stuff. So feel free to ask me questions about anything.
Right on. Well, thank you so much, Kyle, for joining us today. And someday we'll see you again in the future, I hope.
That sounds great. Thank you so much, Ian.
Take care.